The sun had barely risen, casting a pale hue over the polished glass windows of Kyle Richards' Beverly Hills home. She sat alone in the kitchen, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug that had long gone cold. Her face was bare, no makeup, no cameras, no glam, just a woman unraveling quietly at the seams. A single tear slid down her cheek as she scrolled through the photos on her phone. Old pictures of her and Mauricio laughing, dancing at parties, cuddling in bed with the kids on Christmas morning. The memories were vivid, too vivid. The more she scrolled, the harder she shook until her hand dropped the phone and she collapsed into sobs. For months now, things had been unraveling. At first slowly, quietly, the way a thread comes loose from a tightly woven sweater.
But now?
Now the unraveling was loud, ugly, and impossible to ignore. Scene 2. Mauricio's confession. Meanwhile, in the den, Mauricio paced back and forth. His jaw was clenched, hands digging into his hair in frustration. He had tried, God knows he had tried, to be supportive, to be understanding, to be present. But life had become a performance, and he didn't know his role anymore. Last night's argument was still ringing in his ears. "I don't even know who you are anymore," Kyle had screamed. "And I'm supposed to know who I am while you're out there playing a part every damn day?" He had fired back. The silence that followed was deafening. And it hadn't ended. Not even with the dawn. Mauricio collapsed onto the leather couch and covered his face with his hands. The tears came uninvited. His pride wanted to push them back, but his soul had reached its limit. They were broken. The house was filled with silence. But it wasn't peaceful, it was the kind of silence that screams. Scene 3. The daughter's rage. Upstairs, their daughter, let's call her Ava, was pacing in her room. Unlike her parents, her emotions didn't drown her in silence. They ignited her. She had overheard everything the night before. The shouting, the crying, the sound of glass breaking. And she was furious. Not just at what was happening, but at them. "They're supposed to be the adults," she muttered, slamming her fist on the desk. She had tried to keep it together for her younger siblings, for the family's public image, even for herself. But this time, it wasn't just a rough patch. It was war. And she was sick of pretending otherwise. Scene 4. Flashback to happier times. 2 years ago, things were different. Family dinners with laughter, vacations in Aspen, surprise birthday parties where Kyle cried happy tears as Mauricio danced like a fool in the kitchen. Ava had a photo of one of those nights taped to her mirror. Everyone smiling. Together.
Real.
What had gone so wrong? Maybe it was the fame. Maybe it was the pressure. Or maybe it was just what no one wants to admit, that love changes, people change, and not all of it is pretty. Scene 5. Therapy. The first attempt. It was Kyle who suggested therapy. Mauricio was reluctant at first. Not because he didn't believe in it, but because he wasn't sure he could sit in a room and expose the raw, jagged wounds they had both inflicted on each other. But Kyle insisted. The therapist's office was cold, neutral, designed not to take sides. They sat, not looking at each other. "Kyle, why are you here?" the therapist asked. "Because I'm afraid that if we don't fix this now, we'll lose everything." "And you, Mauricio?" He took a long pause. "Because I already feel like I have." The silence afterwards spoke volumes. Scene 6. Social media storms. And while the therapy sessions continued behind closed doors, the outside world remained unaware. Or at least, that was the hope. But nothing stays secret in Beverly Hills. Fans began noticing the absence of Mauricio in Kyle's Instagram stories. Gossip blogs ran speculative headlines. A blurry photo of Kyle out to dinner with a mystery man circulated like wildfire. Ava read the comments under the posts, her fists tightening. Maybe they split and she's hiding it. She looks happier without him anyway. Poor kids. They don't deserve this. She wanted to scream. None of them knew the truth. But even if they did, would it make a difference? Scene 7. The dinner that broke them. It was supposed to be a reconciliation dinner. Kyle lit candles. Mauricio brought wine. Ava and her younger siblings helped set the table. For a brief moment, there was laughter. Hope.
Normalcy.
Until Mauricio's phone buzzed. Kyle reached for the salt and glimpsed the name flashing on the screen. It wasn't work. It wasn't a friend. It was someone else. Someone she didn't know, but had suspected. She didn't scream. She didn't throw the phone. She simply stood up, walked to the sink, and began washing the dishes. Silently, methodically, Mauricio looked at her. She wouldn't meet his eyes. Ava, watching from across the table, stood up. "What's her name?" she demanded. Mauricio froze. "Who?" he tried to deflect. "Don't play stupid. Mom saw your phone. I saw your face." Kyle whispered, "Ava, please." But she wouldn't stop. "Do you have any idea what you're doing to this family? To her? To us?" The younger siblings sat frozen, wide-eyed. Mauricio pushed his chair back. "I'm not doing this in front of the kids." "No," Ava spat. "You never do anything in front of us. You just lie behind our backs." And then she stormed out. Scene 8. Kyle's confession to her best friend. Later that night, Kyle sat with her best friend. Someone outside the cameras, the show, the brand. Just someone who knew her as Kyle, not Kyle Richards.
She cried.
Harder than she had in years. "I don't know who I am anymore," she admitted. "I spent so long being a wife, a mom, a role model, but none of it feels real right now. I feel like I've lost myself." Her friend took her hand gently. "You haven't lost yourself. You've just been surviving.
But now?
Now you get to choose how you want to live." Scene 9. Mauricio's night alone. Mauricio spent the night at a hotel. Alone. He didn't call anyone. Didn't post. Didn't drink. He stared at the ceiling, haunted by everything. By Kyle's tears. By Ava's rage. By the realization that he had failed the one thing that had ever truly mattered. His family. He picked up his phone. Opened his notes app. He began typing. "To my family. I'm sorry. I've made mistakes. I got lost. I thought I could fix it in silence. But I see now that silence only created distance. I love you. I always have. I just didn't show it when it mattered most." Scene 10. The morning after. At home, the kitchen was silent again. But not empty. Kyle sat at the counter. Ava came downstairs, eyes red but dry. They didn't speak for a long while. Then Kyle whispered, "I'm sorry." Ava shook her head. "You don't have to be. You didn't do this." Kyle looked up. "But I let it go on too long. I let us all pretend everything was fine." Ava sat beside her. "So what do we do now?" Kyle exhaled. "We stop pretending. We start healing. Together." Scene 11. The family meeting. That afternoon, Mauricio came home. There were no shouting matches. No dramatic exits. Just a family in a living room, facing the wreckage they had all contributed to. "I want to be better," Mauricio said. "I want to try if you'll let me." Kyle nodded, slowly. "Trying doesn't mean we forget. But maybe it means we can forgive." Ava, still visibly hurt, added, "Only if it's real this time. No more hiding. No more silence." He looked her in the eyes. "Real. I promise." Scene 12. The rebuilding begins. The kitchen was spotless, like always. Kyle Richards was meticulous about her home. The cushions had to be fluffed just right. The fruit bowl in the center of the island was carefully curated. No overripe bananas. No bruised apples. But today, there was no order. No control. She stood by the sink, staring blankly out the window, arms limp by her side. She hadn't even turned on the coffee machine. The silence was deafening, like the calm before a storm, except the storm had already passed and left her drenched. The front door clicked shut. Footsteps. She didn't turn. Mauricio's voice broke through the quiet. "Morning," he said, casual. Too casual. She said nothing. He approached cautiously, sensing the weight in the air. "Did you sleep?" Still nothing. He touched her shoulder gently. That's when she turned, and her face said everything. Puffy eyes. Stained cheeks. A look of betrayal deeper than words. "You told me she was just a friend," she whispered. Mauricio's face fell. Kyle's voice trembled now. How many times have I asked? How many times did you lie straight to my face? He sighed, already weary. It wasn't. Don't, she cut him off. Don't insult me with another lie. Scene 2. Ava listens from the stairs. Upstairs, behind the hallway railing, 17-year-old Ava pressed her back to the wall, fists clenched. They were fighting again. It wasn't just about a woman, though that was enough to shatter everything.
It was about distance.
About the two people she had admired her whole life slowly turning into strangers. She felt heat rise to her face, not sadness, not fear.
Rage.
They always told her, "We're doing our best." But their best had left her drowning in confusion, shame, and the responsibility of picking up emotional scraps they left behind. Scene 3. The dinner table of pretense. That night, they sat together, Kyle, Mauricio, Ava, and her 12-year-old sister, Lila. It was quiet. Too quiet. The clink of forks and knives echoed off marble countertops and glass. Kyle finally broke the silence. Lila, how was your field trip today? Lila looked up, hesitant. It was good. We saw the aquarium. That's great. Kyle forced a smile. Mauricio smiled too, a bit too wide. Did you see the sharks? Yeah, Lila said softly. Ava stared at them. Can we stop pretending? Everyone froze. Ava, Kyle tried. No, she stood up. We're sitting here like nothing happened. Like Mom didn't cry herself to sleep. Like Dad didn't disappear all weekend. Like none of us are breaking inside. Mauricio's voice hardened. Sit down. Make me... Ava spat, storming out of the room. Lila blinked back tears. Kyle whispered, this is exactly why things need to change. Scene 4. Kyle in her closet, a woman unraveling. Later that night, Kyle locked herself in her walk-in closet. The very place she used to escape, filled with designer shoes, curated looks, memories of red carpet moments and reunion tapings. She crumpled to the floor, surrounded by fabric and silence. She was losing her husband. Her daughter hated them both. Her youngest was frightened and confused. And somehow, despite all her wealth, fame, and status, she had never felt so poor. Scene 5. Flashback. The early years. 10 years ago, Kyle and Mauricio stood in the same kitchen. He had picked her up and spun her around when she told him she got the new contract with Bravo. They had laughed until they cried. Their girls danced in their pajamas behind them. Back then, it felt like nothing could touch them. They had fought, sure, but they always made up. Until one day, the fights started lasting longer than the peace in between. Scene 6. Ava's outburst in school. At school the next day, Ava couldn't focus. She stared at the math worksheet until the numbers blurred. Her teacher called on her. Ava, you with us? She looked up, startled. Then suddenly, like a floodgate opening, she burst out. Can we stop acting like this is normal? Like any of this matters? Because nothing matters when your whole world is crashing at home. The class fell silent. The teacher approached gently, but Ava was already grabbing her bag, walking out, face flushed. Scene 7. Mauricio's meeting with his brother. Mauricio sat across from his brother at a quiet rooftop bar. She found out, he said flatly. His brother took a sip of his drink. She was going to eventually. I didn't cheat, Mauricio insisted. But you didn't exactly stop it either, his brother replied. You got close. You leaned too far. Mauricio rubbed his temples. I didn't want this. His brother looked him in the eyes. Then fix it. Or let her go. But stop dragging everyone through hell. Scene 8. Lila asks the question. That evening, Kyle was putting Lila to bed when the little girl asked, Are you and Daddy going to get divorced? Kyle froze. Lila looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes. I heard Ava say she's packing her things, Lila continued. Is she going away too? Kyle's voice cracked. Sweetheart, no one's going anywhere tonight. We're just trying to figure things out. Lila whispered, I don't want things to change. Kyle nodded, tears running silently down her cheeks. Me neither. Scene 9. Family therapy, the explosion. They sat in a circle, Kyle, Mauricio, Ava, Lila with headphones and crayons, and the therapist. The room felt like a ticking bomb. Kyle went first. I've tried to be strong, but I'm tired. I don't know how to keep this family together when I don't even know who I am anymore. Mauricio added, I've made mistakes, but I never stopped loving any of you. Ava cut in. You don't love people you lie to. Kyle reached for her daughter. He's trying, baby. I don't care, Ava shot back. You both keep trying and failing. And I'm the one who's left to hold everything together while you two destroy each other. She stood up, shouting now, You're not parents anymore. You're actors playing a part while your kids drown backstage. Lila began crying. The therapist intervened. Everyone deep breaths. Ava, you're carrying too much. That's not your role. I don't want any role, she whispered, trembling. I just want peace. Scene 10. Mauricio's private video message. That night, Mauricio sat alone and recorded a video on his phone. Not to post,
Just to speak.
I don't know if anyone will see this, but I need to say it. I let myself drift. I thought working harder, staying out longer, ignoring things would make it all go away. But I abandoned the very people I was supposed to protect. Cull. I see your pain now. I didn't before. I thought it was temporary. But it wasn't. Ava, I failed you.
I see that now.
I see all of it. But I want to change. I want to come home again, not just physically, emotionally. I don't know how to ask you to forgive me, but I'll keep trying until you believe I mean it. He saved the video, then deleted it, because words weren't enough anymore. Scene 11. The letter under Ava's door. Kyle slipped a folded note under Ava's door. It read, My dearest Ava, you have always been our fire, the one who spoke when we couldn't. I'm sorry we made you feel like the parent. You were never meant to carry that. I don't know what will happen to me and your dad. But I do know this, you are not the product of our mistakes. You are the proof that even in chaos, something beautiful can grow. Please don't go. The sun spilled across the glossy floors of the Richards family home, but the warmth didn't reach inside. Kyle stood at the center of the grand living room, arms crossed, staring at the wedding photo on the mantel. Her and Mauricio, beaming.
Young.
Unbreakable. But that was years ago. Now the house was too quiet. Ava was out, again. Mauricio had been gone for 3 days. And Kyle, for the first time, couldn't remember what it felt like to laugh freely. She stepped closer to the frame and touched the glass. Her finger hovered over Mauricio's smile. A tear welled up and fell without warning. Was this what the end felt like? Scene 2. Mauricio's silence. Across town, in a luxury apartment high above the streets, Mauricio sat alone, scrolling through his contacts. No one to call. No one he wanted to see. He glanced at a half-written message to Kyle. I'm sorry. Can we talk? He deleted it, rewrote it, deleted it again. What could he say that she hadn't heard? That Ava hadn't screamed at him already? He had stayed too long in silence, in denial. The woman who once adored him now looked at him like he was a stranger. He poured a glass of scotch and stared out the window. From this high up, everything looked so small, so far away.
Even his family.
Scene 3. Ava's wrath. Ava slammed her bedroom door, fists clenched. She had just returned from school, and another kid had made a joke about her celebrity meltdown parents. The third one this week. She wasn't crying anymore. That stopped a month ago. Now she was angry. At her father for abandoning them. At her mother for pretending everything was fine. At herself for still caring so much. She pulled out her journal and scribbled a single line. I'm the daughter of ghosts, here, but never really present. Then she ripped the page and tossed it. Enough pretending. Enough hoping.
She was done.
Scene 4. Flashback to yesteryear. 3 years ago. The kitchen was alive with music and laughter. Kyle was dancing in her socks while cooking breakfast. Mauricio sneaked up behind her and kissed her cheek. Ava, then 14, rolled her eyes but smiled. Lila, 9, sat on the counter swinging her legs. They were a family. Messy, loud, loving. There was no screaming. No cold silences. No broken glass behind words. That was before the TV cameras got too close. Before Mauricio started pulling away. Before Kyle started shutting down. Before the love faded into routine. Scene 5. Kyle's midnight call. It was 1:42 a.m. when Kyle finally dialed. Mauricio answered on the second ring. Kyle? Her voice was small. I can't sleep. He exhaled. Neither can I. Silence stretched. Are we over? She asked. He didn't answer. Because if we are, she continued, just say it. I'm tired of trying to read between texts and fake smiles. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe we both just stopped showing up. Another silence. I'm seeing the therapist tomorrow, Kyle whispered. With or without you. He hesitated. I'll come.
Click.
Scene 6. The therapy session. The office smelled of lavender and books. Kyle sat on one end of the couch, Mauricio on the other. The therapist, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes, began gently. What brought you here? Neither spoke. Then Kyle said, We don't fight anymore. The therapist nodded. That can be good or bad. Why don't you? Because we gave up, Kyle said, tears forming. We argue in silence now. Through our absence. Mauricio added, I thought if I just stayed out of the way, things would calm down. They didn't, Kyle said sharply. They just got colder. Do you still love each other? The therapist asked. Mauricio looked at Kyle. I don't know what love looks like anymore. Scene 7. Ava's escape. Ava packed her duffel and left. No note. No explanation. Just a text to her friend Zoe. Can I crash for the weekend? She couldn't take the heaviness anymore. The constant looks. The emotional landmines. It was 10:37 p.m. The house was quiet. Eerily so. Kyle sat alone on the edge of the bed. The soft yellow light from the side lamp lit half her face, the rest shrouded in darkness. Her eyes were red, her lips trembling. Another silent night. Another invisible wound. Mauricio hadn't come home. Again. For the third time this week, she had eaten dinner alone. For the third time, she had told her daughter Ava, Daddy's working late, knowing full well it wasn't true. She checked her phone for the 100th time. No new messages. Just a single unsent draft. Do you still love me? She deleted it. Again. And the tears came. Quiet, shameful tears. The kind you cry when you're exhausted from holding everything together. Scene 2. Mauricio in the dark. Mauricio sat in his parked car outside a hotel. The engine off. The music low. The city lights bled into the windshield, blurring in his tired eyes. He wasn't cheating. Not in the physical sense. But emotionally? He knew. He had been drifting. Avoiding. Escaping. Kyle, the kids, the noise at home, he didn't know how to face it anymore. Every conversation turned into a landmine. Every question sounded like blame. He didn't want to fight. So instead, he disappeared. He stared at his phone. No missed calls. No texts. But he knew what Kyle was doing right now. Crying. Maybe silently. Maybe violently. And the guilt dug into his ribs like a slow knife. Scene 3. Ava's explosion. Upstairs, Ava sat on the floor of her room, surrounded by torn homework and a shattered hairbrush. She had screamed, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. She had thrown the brush at the mirror. It didn't break, but her reflection did. I'm not okay, she shouted at no one. She was 16. Brilliant.
Brave.
But broken. Her parents weren't together anymore, not really. Not emotionally. And she was tired of being the mediator, the translator, the fixer. Lila, her 10-year-old sister, still believed they were just having a hard time. Ava knew better. She picked up her journal. Page 1, dated 3 months ago, read. Today Mom cried in the shower. I heard. I didn't say anything. Tonight, she added. I want to scream in someone's face. I want to break something. I want a family. Scene 4. Flashback. The beginning. Kyle and Mauricio were married in the fall. Red leaves. Champagne smiles. He promised forever. They built a life that looked like a dream. TV fame, designer clothes, magazine spreads, perfect holiday cards. But behind the scenes, the cracks began early. It started with late nights, long silences, missed birthdays, canceled plans. Mauricio always said, "It's for us, for the future." But the future never came, just more distance. Scene 5. The unanswered call.
Cal called.
It rang. Mauricio saw her name. He didn't answer. She stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over "call again." She didn't. Instead, she left a voicemail. "I don't know what to do anymore."